Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Block 9 Podcast Live Lounge.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm back. Well, actually, I'm still out in Lanzarote, so I've had to just quickly nip in from the pool to do the podcast tonight. Yes, no, of course I'm not out there still. Anyway, so evening, gents. Evening, everybody. It is good to be back again. Let me whip that off. Yeah, nice relaxing week away. Come on to that a bit more in a minute, because I suppose that's the only positive stuff we've got to discuss tonight. So, evening, Gavin. How are we doing?
Very well, thank you. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Andy?
Yeah, good. Locked away all the blunt instruments, mate. So, yeah, all good.
And we have Nick from PFC Displays in with us tonight, who's been busy today with his team and some volunteers trying to sort out all those little plastic seat flags and everything else. Nick, so how are you and how's your day been today?
Yeah, tired. It's been a long one. But yeah, we're good. Thank you. Yeah.
Good. So, yeah, a week away. I can see there's lots of comments coming in already. Argyle on tour. Ninja Matt, just a Jana, and Andy Prowse are in the house tonight. And Vood is here. Camera's not in focus. Is it not? Hang on. Let me just check. And maybe my suntan's reflecting off and affecting it.
Release your beacon.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. It doesn't look like I've got much of a tan, does it? But evening, Voodoo. Good to see you in. So, I was saying to the guys before coming on, we've just thrown a few slide decks together tonight. We've got a bit that we could potentially go through. We'll just see how the show's going time-wise, and we'll come to it. But thank you for everybody that's joining us tonight. But yeah, so a week away in Lanzarote, which meant I missed the game on Saturday to Lincoln and Leyton Orient on Tuesday. But I mean... I did it. To be fair, I listened to the Lincoln game on the audio feed rather than watch it, and didn't even bother either way on Tuesday night because, to be fair, it was our last evening. And you know when you get that sort of gut feeling that it's just not quite going to happen. And yeah, clearly the result and the feedback in the WhatsApp group from the guys, it was just like, oh dear. But yes, do you know what? In the face of it all, it's not brilliant, is it? And actually what being away taught me more than anything is a lot of time and effort goes into producing these shows. And I have to thank Gavin, for sort of hosting and taking over that responsibility superbly for me while I was off. And Carl, Andy and the guys who also did their bits on the show. So I did miss it. I purposely didn't listen to it backwards because I didn't want to really depress myself on holiday, folks. So there was enough of that going on in the chat and on X, and I did stay off the social media. But look, so let me just get myself in order. So, like I said, after a week away in the sun, trying to forget about all things football and hoping for a resurgence, well, like Lanzarote, with me, the heat is still getting to the players. So since I flew out, Argyle lost 3-2 to Lincoln City. Bit of a comeback, but it was all done, wasn't it, in the first half? And then losing at home to Leyton Orient, 1-0 on Tuesday night, which sounded like probably one of the lowest of the lows. So that does mean now that Plymouth Argyle have been the first team to lose their first 4 games since being relegated in the 1956-57 series. And of course, we just love collecting unwanted records at the moment, don't we? It's safe to say, like I said, staying off X and other social platforms is probably sensible advice, while I let all those Argyle troubles pass me by while I was sunning it up by the poolside. Sadly, though, I am back and I'm here, and it's good to be back. And the reality is the situation, it is a bit worrying, isn't it? So what is going on? Who's to blame? Where do we go from here? Well, look, please keep your comments sensible tonight. I mean, by all means, voice your concerns, but we don't want to be banning anybody either now, do we? Hint, hint. Anyway, so let's just go straight into it. And I think what we'll do is, let me go to the slide deck. Before I do, let's just go through some of the comments. Let me just bring up the chat window for me. So we have got Andy Prowse. It's not the case that we likely only receive annual stage payments for players sold at a bigger fee, a bit like interest-free credit. Yeah, we mentioned that before. It's gone towards the Ice Bun Away Fund, just a channel in there. That's with reference to Where's the Money Gone, as Andy put up as well. So let me just go back down here. Stephen Cooper, evening. And I'm hoping tomorrow I'll order those tops, by the way, Stephen, so get that sorted. Saying well done to Gavin for hosting duties while I was off. Pilgrim PE, evening. Good to see you in. Argyle on tour saying, Mike, do you want Haller out? No, I don't. And we are going to discuss that. There's so many hot topics, and we will try and cover as much as we can. We got Findy in, Argyle News Hub, who we partner up with. So evening to you. Gavin was terrific. Carl less so.
The grumpy oil? Come on.
Work, isn't it?
I mean, the figures soared, didn't they, Gav? Let's face it.
Yeah.
What was that, Andy?
The figures actually soared for the last 2 lives, didn't they? You noticed that, Gav?
I don't know. I don't really worry about stats, mate. I'm the antipode of Argyle. I just turn up, speak crap, and hang up. That's it. That's my philosophy. Very nice people to say thank you there.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, it takes a lot to, like Gavin and I were just frantically trying to throw some additional slides together. Obviously, we've got some exciting news with another signing today. So it's not all doom and gloom, is it, folks? Well, let's break it down. So, evening, Spencer. I'll go on tour. I just changed my YouTube channel. Right, okay, I did wonder because I hadn't recognised that before. So good evening to young Spencer. And Ben also reiterating, Gavin doing a great job. I'm just going to there's a door there. I'm just going to go, come back later. Gavin, you can take over. No, so news update, as we always like to do on the live lounge. So, obviously, challenging start, as we know, with the team experiencing its worst league campaign in recent memory. It wasn't that long ago we were collecting more records, good records, than bad ones. But there is a little bit of positive and then brought back down to earth with a negative. But obviously, Joe Edwards is set to make a return on Saturday. So that could be crucial. He's obviously not going to play or start, I would imagine, no disrespect, but it'll be good, as I'm sure everybody will welcome him back into the squad. But sadly, Pleguezuelo, who had that operation just over a week ago, I think, is going to be out now, and it's looking, sadly, until February. So that is really, really disappointing. I'm sure he's equally absolutely gutted because he was coming back into it, and obviously we had him on the show a few weeks ago. If you didn't see that, go and check it out. And of course, being Pleggy's #1 fan, so we wish him well and a speedy recovery, and hopefully then he gets over those troubles. And then also today it came out about Paulson's future. So, he's been attracting interest from AC Horsens, if I pronounce that right, and is considering also other options. Now, I think there's a part to me here that says, were Argyle waiting to get these? Well, we've obviously had Alex Mitchell. We'll come on to him in a minute as a loan. And then also Matthias Ross, who's joined us on a 3-year deal. Could we and were we waiting for those signings before letting Paulson go? We won't necessarily know unless the clubs say that. We all, if it is true, then obviously wish him well. I know he's not had the best of starts of the season, but then you could say that for quite a few players. Voodoo saying plenty of time for Pleggy to get involved in the show. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens. He did say he would come back, but hopefully with a few wins and some points under our belt. And also maybe to rub salt in the striker vacancy wounds. Dale Taylor is expected to start on Saturday for Blackpool against us as their main strikers being unavailable, including former Pilgrim Niall Ennis, who obviously got a straight red card on Saturday, so misses the game. That's a shame. Voodoo saying, Paulson's other options retirement? Yeah, quite possibly. Argyle tweets, evening. Good to see you in as well. So, basically, well, we've got the signings, but before we go to that, let me just, because I forgot to put in a slide for the post-match. Now, all I want, gents, is 5 minutes, give or take, or less if you really want to, on the game on Tuesday night. Obviously, I got some of your feelings in the comments. Andy, I'll come to you first, actually. I know you felt it quite raw after the game, and then obviously reflected back as you do, as everybody does. Give me your view of that on Tuesday, because 2 back-to-back home games and we just couldn't even turn it on, could we?
No, very, very frustrating again, and not helped by a crowd that sort of soon got on the backs when we went a goal down. But I think we started off well, and we played some nice football in the first half. Second half, we just turned it around and played like hoofball. We weren't keeping it on the deck. The ball was going long. Wasn't being picked up by the forward men. They took Oseni off, brought on Peppel, who I thought was quite ineffective. Yeah, it just turned. That the whole game turned as soon as we went one down. You could see heads drop a little bit. The crowd were getting, sort of trying to get behind them a little bit, but then it just got toxic near the end because we were just moving the ball long and going nowhere.
Yeah. So you felt quite raw. You said
Yeah.
in a voice note to us, didn't you? And I mean, to be fair, obviously I was getting updates in the WhatsApp group from everybody, and there was Simon Hallett chants at the end. Obviously, someone's asked me at the start, if I am a part of that camp, and I think the four of us in here are not, including, I speak on behalf of Carl, not because he's working now, he's back on his shifts, and others in the group. There is a mixed feeling, but in here, we're not Hallett out. And we also, it's important to stress that we're not trying to be happy clappy and because we're running a podcast and don't want to look bad on the club. Yeah, exactly, Gavin. No, there's a lot of stuff to consider and situations we all don't know. Are we, though, frustrated, disappointed and feeling down? Yes, absolutely. And sort of, Andy, I suppose, the following day you sort of took reflection, didn't you? And whereas I think you were very much against a lot of things on after the game.
Yeah, I mean, I get that people are hurting at the moment, and I am hurting. I want my team to win every game. I see, but when it's not happening for us, it's not happening for us. And for whatever reason that is, whether it's been lack of experience or whether we just haven't got the personnel in the right areas, then it's just been difficult for us, isn't it? And so, yes, I was very frustrated on Tuesday night. I hope I'm not going to be just frustrated on Saturday as well when we play Blackpool.
No,
We
definitely
want to turn around. We want to get that first points on the board, and I think once you get the first points, like that first win we got again in the cup against QPR, that starts to lift the crowd a bit more, and then you get people behind you again.
Yeah, it can be habits, can't it? And I think, we're on that. I mean, to sit here and think 4 games in, Andy, that actually he's got a worse record than Rooney to start. And it's just like totally different squad and background circumstances. But bless him. He did look a little bit beaten at the end, didn't he? But his presser today was pretty good, which we'll come on to in a minute.
I mean, everyone's looking for a scapegoat, and whether that be Cleverley, whether that be Simon Hallett, whether that be Andrew Parkinson, that everyone's looking for a scapegoat or an answer. We're not getting the answers, and I think this is where the frustration is coming from.
Yeah, Gavin, thank you, Andy. If I come to you, obviously sat where you sit in the top terrace on the Mayflower, I'm sure you were equally frustrated during that game, and I think you said the atmosphere in the hospitality afterwards or throughout was pretty flat. So give us your little synopsis on that on Tuesday night for me.
I thought we started really well. So the first 15 minutes we were bright, we were energetic, the patterns of play were there, the wide triangles out wide were great. We played through them a number of times. Caleb Watts was probably the frustration because I think he played him too deep. So I think everyone wanted Dimitri in the central position, but there was a notable change in pace of ball and winning the ball back in higher areas when Ibrahim came on in the second half. So I think that was probably the biggest challenge, I think, for me in the lineup is I understand why he wanted to put Caleb Watts in the side because he's a dynamo and he's dynamic and all that good stuff. But he has to play further up the pitch, in my opinion. He got into our best chance and got forward and got into the box and hooked one with his right foot in the first half, which was saved in the bottom corner. On another day, that goes in, but I don't think he connected it with it very well. One thing I will say is our back line looked far more solid with Mitchell, who had literally shook the hands of the players just before putting his boots on. And out he went. Him and Galloway were much improved in the centre of defence. If the goal's onside, which I don't think it is, then it's Mitchell's fault because he's dropped too deep, trying to, and he's played the guy on the other side of the pitch, and I think he held his hand up for that in the presser afterwards.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Good communicator, would head the ball back to the moon from anything come near him. Very Katic-esque, I think. And I think looking at the 2 we've signed, I would say they're both imitations. I don't know how good an imitation, but they're both imitation of Maxi and Katic. Mitchell being the Katic and Ross being the Maxi. So when they get together, I'm quite excited about that. I think that'll work really well. It means we've got good depth in Brendan and Cornell, although Cornell I thought actually still had quite a good game at right back. So second half, I think Andy hit the nail on the head. For whatever reasons, our patterns of play started to break up. We started to play a lot more lump ball. I think because Pepper was on the pitch and they thought, well, he'll own it up. The problem with that is you need players to run beyond Pepper when he's got his back to goal and the ball at his feet. And they all stood there and went, pass it to me like an 11-year-old, which meant there was no rushing on. The defence didn't get stretched. And then our pace players never got the ball and went wide. And that was the big challenge. Looking at it from the lower or upper Mayflower in the front quadrant where I sit on the halfway line, just begging out for when Pepper got the ball. He held it up really well against a very strong defence. But he never had the chance to flick the ball around the corner to a guy running on or have a midfielder see two runners and ping one into a gap. And then the couple of opportunities we did have in the second half, they were more Seni type opportunities where it was on the shoulder, needed some pace, and Pepple didn't have the pace. So
we were trying too hard, mate, weren't we?
That was the challenge for me. Is it felt like they played the wrong patterns of play for the wrong centre forward, and that was a big challenge. I think if Asani had been on the pitch in the second half, I think we probably would have got a goal because I think there were a number of opportunities where Bradley was blowing out his arse, as was the other guy, and that he would have got the better of them, but he didn't. I actually probably would have mixed things up in the second half and gone 4-4-2 and played Pepple and Aseni and had one, in the old days of Steve Cooper and Tommy Tynan up top, where one will flick on and one will get in the box and put the ball in the old onion bag. So I think for me, we were a bit too samey. The substitutions were too like for like, but we didn't change our patterns of play. Benarus was the best player on the pitch by about 15 country miles. He was fantastic. I'd like to see him further up the pitch in the future in that 10 role. So I think he's just an absolute killer. But I wasn't as pissed off, I don't think, as many. Excuse my French. Sorry, I think he's always there. I wasn't as upset as many because I like the resolute defence performance. We were very blunt up top, and all of our flair players, unfortunately, Finn had a poor game and then was hooked off quite early, which was a real shame. Because every time he got the ball, he was either marked straight away, or he just didn't have the right touch. Nothing went for him, and then he stopped trying to do things because he had made a couple of early errors. That's naivety of youth. So I'm not as upset as many. I think there's some really good green shoots of that back four playing together. And once Mitchell sits there with Galloway, who skippered, I thought the team reasonably well. Once they learn each other's sort of idiosyncrasies and play more of a cohesive unit, I think we'll concede far less goals. And then you just hope that our Amichis and Bally's and Asanis and Caleb Watts, etc., and when Patterson's back, they'll start to produce good efforts on goal, and we'll start winning games.
I think that excellently put. Thanks, Gavin. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is we obviously only conceded the frustration is, I think that was their first shot, wasn't it, on target? And that's that obviously happened in the previous games. I mean, Nick, it's and coming in with the likes of Alex, and we'll come on to these player profiles, and also Matthias Ross. I'll bring him in now because he sat in the waiting room patiently. But Nick, you can. We got Bo with us tonight, evening Bo, who's going to give us a bit more of a view on Matthias Ross. So for those of you that don't know, Bo is a Danish Argyle fan, and he's been on a few of the pods. So we welcome him for the first time on the Block 9. But yeah, Nick, I'll ask you the same question as well, Bo, because whether you watched it that night. But yeah, Alex did admit to it being his mistake. I know in the chat, I think someone said, Galloway, caused the error, but Alex put his hands up, which was credit to him and respect for that. But it did sound like we were a bit more solid in the back, and obviously we only conceded the one. But I think against Blackpool, if we can sustain that, and within the training a few more days, they can get to work alongside each other better, it will hopefully give a bit more of a positive, sort of for the attacking line in the midfield to sort of feel like that if they lose the ball comes back. We're not going to see a goal coming straight back to us early in the game.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment to make. I mean, it's it's a big thing coming into a football club and then being asked to play 60, 70 minutes straight off the bat for a nuclear team where you've literally just met the other players pretty much. So that's always going to be a tricky thing to do for any player to come in. And I think he handled himself very, very well. I think he cramped up towards the end, not playing as many games and since pre-season, so which is understandable. So yeah, I mean, the more they train together, the more they play together, they're going to understand who's going to go, who's going to sit, who's going to mop up. That's all going to come from training and playing games. So, yeah, positive start. We definitely look more solid. And it's a foundation, isn't it? I mean, all right, we still conceded, and he held his hands up and said he felt he was sitting a bit deep, and he thinks he was playing them on. He said he took full responsibility for it, which, when you're coming into a team, I guess is admirable. Obviously, we'd like him not to sit deep in play him on, but it is what it is. It happens in football. That's the game we love, and that's the game we play. So, yeah, it's one of them. But the more they play together, the more the understanding is going to be there, and I think the more we'll start to keep those clean sheets. Hopefully, starting on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the Bo. Did you? Thanks for that, Nick. Did you watch the game on Tuesday?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and so, I mean, folks, everybody watching, we want to sort of move on quickly from this. Obviously, we need to touch upon it because that's what we do when there's a weekday game. But I've seen it in the comments, Bo, and he was really exciting to see in previous matches as well. Is Belarus, sort of. I think, if I recall, Cleverley noted that in the post-match presser too. Trying to remember now in the flights to and from Lanzarote. But how have you felt over this start of the season? Where you can't be there either, so it's even screaming at the TV.
Yeah, it is. Actually, just screaming at the TV, trying to keep calm, not screaming at the kids or the wife or anything. Well, it's been tough. I'm in the same boat as you guys. Even though I'm native Dane and living in Denmark, and it's a long way to home park, I'm still following it like it's my own family. So it's hard times at the moment. But as most people who know me, I've been following Argyle for more than 30 years. So it's not the first time I've felt down. So I'm still optimistic, but all the comments you read on social media, all the things that happens around the club, is something needs to be answered soon. If it's about the money, where's the money gone? Or if it's the board, or if it's actually Tom Cleverley's tactics or a wrong set of players and squad, I really don't know. And I really don't care. I just need answers soon. So hopefully we're going to see that some additions to the squad, and hopefully maybe Cleverley will do some other tactics in the coming games, so will give us the first win. I'll keep my fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, I think it is difficult. I mean, it's been a challenge in 2 years. We've talked a lot about it on previous shows, and as everybody has, where does the blame lie and all this sort of stuff. And it is difficult because when you're not there running it, it's very, in any business, it's easy to look in from the outside and just sort of go, oh, well, they should be doing that better, and they should be doing this, and they should be doing that. And in business, as some of us who are involved in it know, you don't always get every decision right either. So, it's just, and when you're in the public domain like you are, it makes it worse. And I think, that's why I stayed off X, to be fair. I mean, when I went away, I wanted to spend time with the kids and the wife and enjoy that. Work's pretty crazy, so I wanted to sort of forget about that, which I did quite well. And obviously the pod and all that sort of stuff, but you can't help but when the games are on having to listen or watch them, and keep an eye on it, but let alone the WhatsApp chat. So I kept it to that, and I just stayed off X because it just, you can sit there, Bo, can't you? And it can just mentally drain you because you get wound up as well. You start thinking this, someone says that, and then there's a rumor about this, and that spreads like wildfire. You'll never stop it because that's sadly the way it is. And yes, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Personal attacks, and when it's getting a bit abusive, I think is totally out of order. So yeah, let's move on to some positives. So Bo has joined us last minute. We would just sort of message him, and obviously we've got new signings. I'll come on to. We'll start with Alex because that's the way the deck is, and then we'll come on to Matthias.
Right. Do you want to? Nick's not only got a few.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Nick, have a little 2 minutes before he does Displays. I mean, crack on.
Yeah, Nick. So Nick's got to go away and get dinner ready for the missus when she comes back from work, haven't you, Nick? So
yeah,
so,
that mate. Simple as that. But,
yeah. So obviously, good effort from everybody today, getting all the stuff tidied up and sorted out this morning. So if any of you are watching that did help with that, then that's obviously always appreciative where you can, where that shout comes out from Nick. But give us your prediction, Nick, before you go then for Saturday, and what you think that's going to be.
Predictions are what I hate doing predictions, but I'd like to think we're going to win Nick a 1-0 win. I just want any win will do. It doesn't matter how well we play. We just need to get that first goal. And I think if we get that first goal, it will be completely different. Because I think if we get that first goal, the crowd will suddenly be behind the team more. And I think that will push them. And I think we will. I think from there, they will gain confidence. I just hope they don't freeze if they go 1-0 up and then think, shit, we're 1-0 up here. Let's not lose the game. That's my only concern. But I'm going to back them. I think we'll win 1-0 on Saturday.
Yeah, well, look, I think just to, look at the positives from Voodoo's message here. Look, check out the odds on high fixtures, especially if we sign 2 to 3 players, and more so this one. I'm quietly confident we won't finish bottom 3, so 4 from bottom. And of course, just to point out, Nick, thanks for coming on for the short time. We've been speaking a fair bit over the last few days, especially. But yeah, of course, Nick and PAFC Displays are never going to do banners of the likes that were touted on. So I did see clips of it because they were shared in the chat. But that is not what they're about. Nick, anything you want to add to that? Yeah,
just we got quite a bit of requests for it, and it's not that. I mean, I think one comment even said it was that we were in bed with Hallett, and it's comments like that which I had to bite my tongue with, and it was just not something that I wanted to discuss. It's nothing to do with that. We've built a relationship up with the football club as a whole over the last 8 years, and that's all across the club at all different levels, from the ground staff to the media team to we have the odd occasional conversation with Simon Hallett. But even into the first team dressing room. So if we start doing stuff like that, straight away that relationship with the club that we've built is completely destroyed. Yeah. And that's not what we're about. We're about trying to improve the atmosphere at Home Park if we can. We're all about backing the team and backing the lads, and backing the lads that pull the shirt on. The politics and things like that we'll leave for others to discuss. That's nothing to do with us. We've never wanted anything to do with the politics of how the football club is run. We'll leave that to other people. But yeah, so we were never ever going to do any sort of Hallett out or where's the money gone banners. It's not something in our wheelhouse that we will ever look at.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. So Nick, look, we'll let you go away and cook. Do you know what you're cooking for your missus tonight?
Cooking's a very loose word, mate. It's just prawn salad. So it's a lot of chopping. And that's about it.
Fair enough. Look, go away and do that, and we'll catch up. Probably tomorrow at some point, no doubt, on stuff. So, yeah thanks, Nick, and we'll wish you well and catch up with you soon.
Cheers, gents. Thank you.
Yeah, mate. Take care.
Bye.
So, there we go. Let's get the nice, easier view of the 4 tiles. So, there we go. Right. So, Bo, are you okay for time? Just to check, actually.
Yeah, just keep going. No worries.
Cool. Yeah, so Voodoo just echoing PAFC Displays are legends. Absolutely echo that with what they do. So was it Monday, late Monday? Was it? Yeah, it was that Alex Mitchell was announced, wasn't it? So obviously we've added 2 defensive reinforcements, which we were all agreeing, I should say, over the past few weeks that was clear. Poulsen certainly wasn't having great games. Zooks looked unsettled, and even Galloway, which clearly was not the case on Tuesday, was not looking great. So it was like, we need to make these changes more than we do a striker. We still don't have this striker signing, but obviously we welcomed Alex Mitchell. And as we've said, he literally trained with the squad that day and went straight in. No qualms about it. Announced in the statement that he would start that game, which I thought was quite a powerful statement to make. He's on a season-long loan from Charlton. So born 7th of October 2001, joins us on a season-long loan, 23-year-old centre-back wearing the 15 shirt. Let me go to the next slide. So his career journey from Millwall to Home Park. So he started off at the Millwall Academy and developed through the ranks there, has embarked on multiple loan moves to gain first team experience. Loans seem to be just his thing. But if that works, I'd rather as a player be able to get football minutes than not at all. Bromley, then Leyton Orient, cut his teeth with 9 appearances in the National League for Bromley before impressing with 26 league matches for Orient. Obviously, then the team that we faced on Tuesday. St Johnstone standout, it says, named Young Player of the Year during a 29-match spell in Scotland, scoring once. Lincoln City success, game before that, and Player of the Month honours in 2023, October, I should say, that month, and impressed with a 36-game campaign. And then Charlton promotion, so key contributor in athletics, successful playoff campaign with 31 appearances and 2 goals. So, you all said that he looked really assured. Sort of, Bo, I'll come to you as we've brought you in. Were you impressed with what you saw, and are you impressed with that signing as well from Argyle?
Actually, I'm quite. I think he's doing good. Actually, been brought in the day before a game, been put directly into the team. He had actually a good performance, I think. I think what is it, Gary just said, he looked a little bit like Katic, the kind of type of player, and agreed with that. So actually, I think he's going to be a great acquisition for the squad, and actually, I think he's going to be in the starting 11 quite a lot if we can keep off injuries. So I'm very positive.
Yeah, no, it's good. Gavin, what's your thoughts on Mitchell? Obviously, you saw him as well as Andy and Bo. So you sort of positive towards what he can bring to the table?
His positioning's very, very good for someone who's in the mid-20s. I think he's got a football brain of someone in their early 30s, which is really useful. He talked very well in the presser as well, which I think that level of maturity is evident once, your first presser for a new club, chuck straight in, I'll hold my hand up for the goal. You haven't seen the best of me. I thought he just talked excellently. He talked excellently on the pitch as well, actually, which was great. I think he had a very similar first game to Katic without losing a tooth, which was nice. He sticks his head in where it hurts. He sticks his foot in where it hurts. He's not that worried about putting it in Rose Ed and getting us out of trouble. He's not going to try and do a Cruyff turn in the middle of the box and lose it and we'll go one down. He's very no nonsense. And I think he's a genuine good League One centre half. I think in what we've had in the past of Scar and the big sort of hefty enforcers, I suppose, that you worry about at night when you're a striker. So I think he'd be great. He does need someone with a bit of flair alongside him. I think you can ping a ball. Galloway did that quite well. Such, if he plays alongside him, or Pleggy, I think would be great too, because we need someone with an outlet, certainly on the wide diagonal balls. If Amici and Ballymumba are going to be sort of getting chalk on their boots, as it were, and hugging those touchlines, then having someone who can ping that. And I don't think he's got that in him. He seemed to pass the ball nicely, but I don't think he's got a 40-yard pass in him. But yeah. I don't really care about that, quite frankly. I want him to get in where it hurts and stop the opposing strikers from getting a shot on goal. So I think he'll be a great prospect. I'm hoping that somewhere in that contract there's an option to buy.
Yeah,
I think he's worth about 600k on FotMob. And I think even if we went up, I'd still have him, because I think we showed with Katic and Maxi last year, when you have those two types of players, things are a lot easier with a really strong spine. If you haven't got it, and we haven't had it early this season, there's lots and lots and lots of opportunities for people to concede really soft goals. So very impressed. Glad we waited for him and not potentially got the boy from Scotland, who I think's been injury prone. And
shoulder, yeah.
He seems a really, really good prospect for the club. And I just doff the hat in in Mr. Randall's direction, because I know he's like taking a lot of shit on social media in the last few days. That's a really, I think for me, a really strong signing, and I'm hoping that Bo will tell us that we've got our Katic and our Maxi's going to be available from Cheltenham to give you a link.
I think brilliant, and I'm excited. Sort of reading up on him while I was away. It was good. I didn't see the game. I didn't listen to it, as I said earlier either. But I mean, Andy, sort of reading the notes, on him, he's a bit old school in the style that he plays. I think, listening actually to a clip from Gary Neville on the overlap, just saying how sort of defenders are getting more attention and than your sort of key midfielders back in the day and your strikers. And actually, what we need to do to just settle down, in my opinion, is just be a bit old school and just, if in doubt, hoof it out, whatever you need to do just to take the pressure away, and then if we can settle down and sort of play a bit more passing from the back, then fine. But we've just got to get those basics right, haven't we? And I think he definitely seems that type of player that's going to bring a bit of stability. And as Gavin said, I thought his presser, and I did watch it, was absolutely brilliant for him to just start and come out and do that straight away.
Yeah, I think we've got a real gem there. I mean, a lot of our goals conceded early in the first 3 games have come across the box, and there's been no sort of challenge for it. But he looked really assured. He looks a solid defender. It's like Gav said, he's going to get it out of the trouble area into row Z if it's needed. What I do like about him is like not arrogance, but he sort of bigs himself up. He gives himself that sort of, I'm confident, I'm here, I'm here to do a job.
That winning mentality is going to be massive, because he's come in from a team that's gone through the playoffs, right? So you can see he's got that swagger about him. All right, I'm here, boys, we'll sort this out. I quite enjoyed that. But what's Ross's mentality like? Is it very similar?
Yeah, I think so. He's like, he's not a non-nonsense defender. He's still a young guy, but he has both pace. He has the calmness when he has the ball. He's a great header. Hopefully it'll turn out to be a good match at the back when he arrives.
Has he got similar attributes to Talavirov?
Yeah, some kind. I can't really remember how tall was Maxi. Do you guys remember?
Maxi was 6'5".
Yeah, it's about the same thing with Matthias, because I guess he's 6'5" as well, 190 centimeters we use here. I think, if you look at the player, he's still young. He has a lot to learn still, but he's a great talent. He left Aalborg way too early. He should never have left for Turkey at his age. He should have stayed, developed, and become an even better player than he became to be. So hopefully he will thrive at Argyle, and hopefully we're going to have an asset here. I think he's a great player. Always fancied him. Always liked the way he played. He's with passion. He's aggressive. He's good on the ball, as I've said before. He's a great header. Always wants to go into the box when they have some attacking set pieces, always dangerous with his head. And then he's a leader. Even though we have quite a few leaders in the team, he's a real genuine leader. Even though he was only around 18, 19 years old, he actually wore the armband at OB. So, so that's nice.
Well, would you say that he's going to become sort of a captain figure at Argyle, because he's got a 3-year deal, hasn't he? And I saw a video you put on X earlier on with him in front of the fans, with all the fans singing his name and him doing all the sort of dance and stuff. I mean, he's going to be a fan's favourite.
If Matthias actually settles, if he gets game time, if he is in a team that has positive results, he will thrive. I know. He'll be an asset for the club. I think he chose us instead of 3 championship clubs. Of course, it's only rumors, but when it's out there, I think it's actually generally right.
For me as well. Sorry, Mike. Just last thing.
No,
last season, when we had a long throw from Such, when we were at a corner, when you had Katic and Maxi in the side, right? You go, oh, I'll have a lean forward on my seat here because I think that something might happen. Since the beginning of the season, every time Sucha's got the ball in his hand, I've kind of sat back and gone, "Oh, where's my beer?" You just never think once that you're going to get it over the line. So I shared some highlight reels yesterday when the photo was leaked with him and his agent. They both look like they're players that are going to get up and really challenge the box on set pieces. And also, just conversely, every time we concede a corner this year, I'm kind of looking through my fingers going, "Oh, please no." A bit like Ryan Lowe's time. Now, with these two on the side, hopefully where we were with Katic and Match last year was like, we aren't conceding here. They're going to put their head through this and we'll be back up the pitch in no time. So do you think that from certainly from Ross' perspective, and we've seen it a little bit already from Mitchell, do you think that's going to come out in spades again?
Yeah, of course, if he's allowed. If both Alex and Matthias is allowed to go into the box with from corners and from long throws from Such and attacking options like that, of course we'll see loads of more headers because he puts his heads on everything. Yeah. He is more or less like a not a catcher, but a maxi kind of player. So yeah, I'm looking very much forward to we can actually win some aerial duels. So yeah, it'll going to be nice. Hopefully we'll get a goal or two. Yeah, even though he's only had like 2 or 3 goals in his career, but then again, he could have scored that many more. I've seen him 80 times, I guess, when he played for my local team here. So I've seen him quite a lot. You can look forward to what you're going to see.
Yeah, I think it is exciting, and thanks for messing up my slide deck, Gavin. Coming in early on.
I'm so used to hosting now, Mike. I
know. I was gonna pop out and do a bit of food and stuff. No, it's fine. I just want it, but it's exciting. I think. Before I just finish off on Mitchell, what pleases me is I think he'll fight to go straight in, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts. Depends on how the training goes on Saturday. And I've seen a few comments in the chat tonight about Hammond, and there's one thing as well that also helps the keeper is when he can also rely on his front line. So I think it will be interesting that. With only the 1 goal conceded, I'm guessing Hammond didn't have much else to do really all game.
No, he did. He made 2 or 3 really good stops.
Oh, fine, okay. Thanks.
And he commanded his box much better. I don't think the Hammondators could have had Hammondators. That's not the commentators. Can have Della Zuch had a good game on. So I'll say it. There you go. I'm on record. Della Zuch had a good game on Tuesday night.
Yeah. No, good. And I think that stability, with some more experience in there, will help further with that. Just to end on Mitchell, then, why fans should be excited? If you didn't actually before that slide, ignore this little bit at the bottom because the little AI tool obviously said that he'll be available for selection. That was what was in the presser that I used. But yeah, what the club said about Mitchell, we've been looking to add defensive options, and in Alex, we feel we have the perfect addition, brings experience of consistently winning. That was from Tom Cleverley. And David Fox said he is tall and physical and also good in both boxes and just a good defender. He will bring positivity and freshness and instill a winning mentality. So that was great to read. And why we should be excited about him, even though we've heard some positives already from Tuesday night. Young but experienced. Despite being only 23, Mitchell brings a valuable experience from National League to Championship level with over 100 senior appearances under his belt. Defensive leadership, and obviously you touched upon that, Gavin and Bo. If we've got 2 players that come in with leadership qualities, because we've said in these first 4 games, whether or not Tuesday was a bit like that, probably less so, there seemed to be lacking that leadership on the pitch. So that's good. The winning mentality, and obviously he's had that immediate impact coming in. Also, it's worth noting on both of these potentially, and Bo summed it up that Matthias has turned down potentially some Championship clubs here as well. We were all wondering what was going on with these signings, and the striker, we were all seeing the ups and downs of Dale Taylor and Burrell, and then equally saying that we need a centre back or 2 more than a striker now. When we sit there and go, we're clearly not throwing the money and we're clearly not doing this, or the club's not doing that, it was quite clear from Mitchell's interview that obviously the club were interested, but Charlton held back because of injuries. We heard about this rumour as Bolton kicked off, because obviously Cleverley was expecting a defender centre-back to join then, whether or not it was Mitchell or someone else. But effectively, sometimes these things are out of your hands. This is not me trying to just make up excuses. It's just the facts. And Charlton decided to sit back because they got some injuries. So Mitchell couldn't join as soon as ideally he or the club would have wanted. But obviously it eventually got over the line. So that deal was done. And obviously, as we were touching up on just there between Gavin and Bo, with Matthias Ross, who's signed for us today, 24-year-old centre-back as well. And just go into his background a little bit for those that still haven't looked up on who he is at the moment. So from Borg, and as Bo said, probably left there too early, but did 94 appearances there, scoring 5 goals. Then went to Galatasaray, had 2 European Cup appearances and got 1 goal in that as well. And I can't even pronounce that, excuse me, but 21 appearances and 2 goals for NEC. Bo, can you help me out there? Anyone? Thank you. And Sparta Prague, 11 league appearances plus Champions League. So Ross has represented Denmark at youth level across under 17s, 19s, 20s and 21s, showcasing his pedigree as one of Denmark's brightest defensive talents. Yeah, there's his journey through European football. I won't read through all of that because I'm conscious of time. This player traits, though, Bo. So, yeah, you've mentioned some of these already, but just to touch a little bit further. So, strong defensive aerial presence. So, these throw-ins that Gavin said, from Zooks, which when you've got that ability, you want to really maximize that. Plus, also when defending, again, this is where it will probably bring some confidence to Luke Ashby-Hammond. Ball playing ability, comfortable under pressure, obviously youthful potential, some good experience at the age of 24, and versatility, so ability to play across that back line. Is that fair then from that, Bo?
Yeah, I think so. Those abilities that's on the screen now is actually spot on what I think when I saw him play. He started out early. He was about, I think, only 17 years old. He was transferred from the youth academy at the club to the first team. Got a few cup appearances in the team. Actually got fairly quick into the starting 11 and actually just stayed because he was that good. He was actually captain for the national teams, youth national teams, both from the under 17s, 18th and 19th as well, I think. So he has that leader potential, even though he's that young. When he came on to play regularly for our first team, he showed passion. He showed all the things that we needed at that time for a centre back. And he was tall, of course. He put his head on like almost everything. He cleared the ball in all areas. So he was what we needed at that time. And he just made his way as a starting player from that time. So yeah, he's a great player in my view. He went too early, and I think Voodoo put in a comment earlier about like he was too young for leaving for Galatasaray, and yeah, I think Turkey was a wrong choice for Matthias at that time. And of course, he's got quite some experience both playing for the Dutch team and of course in Sparta as well. Played in Champions League as well, so he has the potential to become a great player again. He has great potential, and I actually am looking very much forward for him to have his debut.
Yeah, I think, and also just to Jana noting, I think Matthias will play the I can shine high with a weaker squad and get noticed a lot more. I mean, that's what obviously happened with Katic and Talavirov. They came in and started straight away and impressed us from the off. And I hope, we can see a partnership between, Mitchell and Ross doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see a partnership there. I can see actually both him partnering with Alex, and we can see him partnering with Plaggy when he's back.
Yeah,
I'm having my doubts on Brendan Galloway because he's like, as we always speak about, he's injury prone. I think he's. We've seen the best from him. I don't think he'll ever be back to be that Brendan Galloway we saw like a few seasons ago. Unfortunately, I hope he will. I hope.
He's
he
had
will come
such
back.
a long time out there, Bell. He's only had a few games back. I don't think we can really judge his form until mid-October. A bit like what Mateus said in his presser today, is that I want to get up to speed, but it's going to take me a bit of time.
Of course.
I think we're not in a position to splash the cash this year. So Benarous, you can see now he's just beginning to come into his own in terms of his own form from where he was pre-season. Yeah. I think it will take Mitchell probably 3-4 games to get to his best. I think it will be the same for Mateus, and I think it's the same for Brendan. Brendan hopefully will shine at the same time. We'll have 3 centre halves that are all absolutely at the top of their game, and then it'll be an impossible task, and one's going to have to sit on the bench. But it means then you can rotate those 3. You're not going to burn them out Tuesday, Saturday, and we'll have what we didn't have a little bit last year when we were missing Pleggy, or we were missing Maxi or missing Katic when they were injured, is having 3 that were first choices that you could rotate and not have a problem. And that, I think that's what led to probably Talavirov's injury, is that he was just used too much.
Yeah, I think so too, because when we always try to take the same kind of players week in, week out, sometimes 2 games in 1 week, it's just too much for that period of time. Yeah. And I saw a guy in the chat asking me if the physics in Danish football is compared to the EFL. Yeah, Danish football is actually quite harsh to see. It's not that polished a game like you see in the championship. Maybe it's a fairly hard game in Denmark as well. Of course, we have a few teams like FC Copenhagen, FC Midtjylland, and Brøndby. The top 3 teams in Denmark, they play solid, great football and actually could compete in the lower half of the Premier League. But the rest is like more or less League One standard. So Matthias will fit right in.
Yeah, no, great question from Andy. There, Steve also saying Ross won't be available until Cheltenham due to fitness, as was just being alluded to there. It's like a mini pre-season for him. There is a danger, Andy, isn't there, at times that, because of the desperate situation, Mitchell came straight in. Obviously, he was subbed off, and he said that he felt his hamstring getting a little bit tight. Suggested to the bench that he'd come off. It's good that he was willing to do that and being sensible and not trying to play through it and cause more injury for himself. But this is the danger, isn't it, when you've got problems at the back and you sort of, can we get you in straight away? Are you okay with that? Because we're desperate to stop the goals from going in and leaking, and but you don't want to risk then injuring that player even more, do you?
Yeah, I mean, this is the trouble that Cleverley's had, when especially with Pleggy out as well, and he's a massive loss, and Paulson, for some reason, not being able to play in a back 4. Back 3 is probably, with the centre backs as well, is probably his best position. So Zooks hasn't been sort of performing as well. So you want to sort of fill it with people right away. And there's always a danger that if you do thrust these players straight into the squad, like we did with Mitchell, then they're going to pick up twinges or whatever. So yeah. Going to try to protect them in some ways, but you've got to try to sort of compete as well. So it's very difficult.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And some good comments in there. Stevie Vaughan, I just put up on the screen. You can see it anyway, as obviously we show the comments as they come in now. Always remember when Rooney overplayed Edwards and was out for nearly 6 months. So, yeah. And Argyle on tour. So Spencer saying, hopefully Cleverley can get the best out of Ross. Bo, do you know if he is injury prone? Good question. He is currently injured. I don't think he is, but is it right? So he's not injury prone effectively.
Well, he's not injured, and he's not been injury prone. He'd had, I think, 1 single injury. I don't think he's ever been injured at the time at my local team. So no, he's not injury prone. I think he's going to be fairly all right. No,
that's good. I think Spencer, who's Argyle on tour, was wondering if, and it's a good question to ask because obviously we've signed some players that have had it. Obviously Benarous and Patterson are 2 recent examples. Fair question to ask, but that's good to know that he isn't. I think the sooner we can get him ready and get him in, it's going to help. If Paulson has got interest from this other or these other clubs and does leave while we try and get him ready, it's how much that disrupts things. We'll soon find out, I suppose. But yeah, just go in looking through the comments. PFC Green Army. Paulson was a decent player. Never forget Brentford away. Hope he does well at his new club, if that is official and what is going on there. So just to end on Ross, what to expect on pitch abilities. He's the top 6% according to the stats out there. Goals, exceptional scoring record for a defender. It's not hard, I suppose, in some cases to be up there with that. Top 3% defensive contributions, 75% aerial duels won, which is what Bo was telling us and we were talking about, and 72% on chances created. So you've got Mitchell's a bit more old school, and then Ross, who's that defender that likes to create some movement and passages of play. So that's going to be exciting to see. So club statements on him. So Tom Cleverley said, Matthias has excellent pedigree and tremendous potential for development. He will complement our squad and challenge for a place. Why we should be buzzing. Youth meets experience, that dual threat, modern fit and ready to compete. I think on Gavin, on Cleverley's comment there, it alludes to what he said in his presser, which we'll be coming on to in a minute, where he said, and I suppose even I questioned how long is Cleverley going to give it the way it's going, but he reiterated what he said to Simon Hallett, and that would being committed for the long term. So this is another player that clearly from that comment is all about, sort of developing and complementing the squad, 3-year contract, potential captain as well from what we've just heard. So that I don't think Cleverley's going anywhere, is he?
No. Well, he was all but asked today in the press conference, but look, if you look where he's come from, it's you don't have your name on your door as a manager at Watford. By the time the paint's dry, they're scraping it off and giving it another lick of paint with another name on. He's craved, I suppose, what all young managers would crave, which is some longevity to be able to show people how he can build a squad and be successful. After 4 games, 6 games, 10 games, he ain't going to be going, oh, this isn't for me. I have to go and redo this all again. Not a chance in hell. He wants to lay his nettle down. I'm sure he's got aspirations of Man United or whoever one day. You aren't going to get there without doing your apprenticeship with a club like Argyle. And, despite the last 2 years, Simon Hallett's not a sacking chairman and he's not a wandering eye, to my knowledge anyway, and from certainly what James said from the Watford pod, loyal guy. He said in his presser he didn't leave through choice. He left because he was asked to leave, quite frankly. So I don't think there's a problem here at all. And the fact that he's going to be able to morph a squad into his own vision is going to be a big bonus and a massive contributing factor to his success long term, I would say.
Yeah, I just laughing at Voodoo's comment. Cleverley said he'd stop commenting on striker updates. He did the other day, and today gave a striker update. So
I think that's only because we're close to signing one now. Now he's all right. He's probably got
until that dotted line is got a squiggle on it. Then we got to be careful. So conscious, Gavin and I should say, when we were prepping for this, Gavin had done a lot of work on 2 topics, roles and responsibilities and also balance sheet, trying to give a little bit of context to people who have asked, where's the money? And also, what are we doing with this, that and the other? And we've got no money left because we're splashing it on silly, vanity projects, as people have called it. So conscious of the time, Bo, you're more than welcome to hang around as well. So just let us know if you need to shoot. Gavin, obviously, with us, we said that if we're running a bit in, then we might drop one of these things. So do you want to go to the roles and responsibilities there?
Yeah, do that one. Yeah.
So let me just jump. That should be slide 19, he said. There we go. So Gavin's put this together. This is what we do for those of us that joined us tonight, as many of you that are coming back, which is great. For those that are new, you can see we throw some slide decks together to give context to the sort of subjects and topics we're talking about. And we also aim to try and bring a different angle or perspective on things to the show. So tonight it was going to be two things, but we can save the other one for next week. And this one, go on, Gavin, I'll just hand it over to you.
The reason why I did this, because someone asked me to do it when I was at the decks in my hand when you were away. Mainly because a lot of the fans are going, "Oh, Hallett, you didn't sign so and so, and Hallett, you didn't. And where's the board? Why haven't the board signed these players?" And it was winding me up more and more and more. You know, for those who don't know, I'm a wanky management consultant for a living and do M&A, right? So I spend a lot of time with businesses, biggest clients 700 million turnover, smallest clients about 4.5 million turnover. So a big dynamic breadth of businesses. And the board structure is quite interesting. And from the board structure, a lot of the bigger companies have something called a racy model, right? Which I think Voodoo took the piss out of me for, actually, off memory, off the last time, which is unusual for him, I have to say. And then he flattered me tonight, which is a double-edged sword. But when you're looking at a set of tasks, either in a project or for portfolio holders of businesses and certain departments, you often then put a racing model together. So race is a really simple thing. It's a list of tasks down one side, and it's RACI across the top with a name. And essentially, a list of names of people, and then RACI, and then you tick the box. So, for example, R stands for responsible. So who does the work? Yeah. A is for accountable. So who has the authority? Where does the buck stop? Whose bollocks are on the chopping block? Simply. C, you're consulted on a task. So you don't really need to know about it. Was it Raki? Was it bar?
Yeah, that's a horrible drink.
That is disgusting, that stuff. And then informed, obviously, is who's going to be kept updated. So I thought it'd be quite nice to just do a couple of quick examples of like things that go on in a football club and who would be on the racy model and what role they would play within that racy model to be able to basically perform the task, right? Which is cool. So you want to flick next slide, Mike?
Yeah, Bo's just leaving us. Bo, thanks for your time. We appreciate you coming.
Hopefully, see you at home park between now and the end of the season. You're going to get over?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to make it to home park this season. If it's going to be this year or maybe just first in the fall in 26, I don't know, but hopefully it's going to be soon. It's going to be.
Drop us a line and we'll get you a point.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah,
thanks
welcome.
so much.
Thanks for having me. See you later.
See you, mate.
Cheers, Em.
All the best now.
So yeah, there you go. There's your next slide, Gavin.
So governance structure, obviously we all know the business. So Simon's obviously non-executive chairman, and I was talking to Nick from PFC Displays about this beforehand. But then the board of directors that Simon basically manages, so he chairs that board, and then there's an executive team headed up by Andy Parkinson, who's also on the board, which is a bit confusing. But they then have a team of managers, heads of department that fulfill the day-to-day function of the business, right? So that's it in a nutshell. So you can flick on.
Yep.
So first example is capital and playing budget, right? So this is quite a strategic, high-level decision, and it's also based on how much money Simon's allowed to spend without Jane kicking him in the nether regions and throwing him out the street. I think from what I've sort of spoke to Simon about in the past and read from his interviews. So chairman he sets the capital limits because it's the club money, but he owns all the shares, and then it's his personal money that he's putting into the club to do expansion projects and Folkestone Park and all those other things.
Ninja Matt's comment is quite good.
Isn't Simon Hallett every single one of them for all departments? No, he's not. So board of directors are then consulted on this. So Simon's like, well, this is what we think we're going to have this year in terms of available capital. The executive team are responsible then of spending that capital. So think about it. Simon says, I'm going to put another 4 million in this year. We've got a playing budget of 7, 8, 9 million quid, whatever it's going to end up being. The board are then consulted to say, do you think that's a fair number? Is that going to be a number that's going to get us up? Is it more? Is it less? There's different connotations in League One around financial fair play. There isn't any at the moment, so you can spend what you like, quite frankly. In other clubs, I think it's 60% of revenue. Then it's up to the executive team. So then essentially a budget is announced to the management team, which is headed up by Andy. Andy then sits down with the playing staff, so with Foxy and with TC, and he gives them a budget to go and spend, along with Tom Randall. Okay, so you can see from this example, Simon doesn't sign anybody. In fact, probably Simon doesn't know who signed until he gets an email saying, we've just signed this chap called Ross. He's on 10 grand a week. We've got him from Galatasaray where he's just left, and. That's probably as good as it gets. Because once the budget's set, why would you need to go to an owner if you've set a budget to say, can I spend the money? Because it's already been set, it's already allocated. Therefore, it's not needed to be consulted on or informed on in the future because that bit's already been done. Then the management team are informed on the budget, and then they go and spend it accordingly, along with the director of football, head of football operations, whatever you want to call them. Does that make sense? Is there any questions there, chaps, for anyone or anyone on the screen outside of the screen that needs to understand this?
Not from me. I think, just to add to those watching, we appreciate some get frustrated by the situation, with the club, and that's their passion, their heart coming out. Sometimes with others, it's a bit more than that, unfairly, and also not what you want to see, with the greatest respect. But a pity we can't post GIFs.
No, it's not a pity, Voodoo. No, it's not.
There's plenty of them out there. But what we're trying to do with the show, what Gavin specifically is trying to do, is just for those that don't understand how a business is set up, and how it works, just to give that context. The only thing I suppose we could say, or to add to this, Gavin, is when we look at the C-suite, there is no chief of finance at the moment. Is there?
They've never had a C-level finance person anyway. They've had heads of department. So the board structure, so head of finance doesn't sit on the board. He gets invited to board meetings to present. Yeah. Head of commercial doesn't sit on the board, but comes to board meetings to present. So their portfolio and their responsibility to the P&L, or in the terms of the finance person, they're reporting the management information and the KPIs, whichever the board have set the KPIs of the business to run on. So that's how that kind of works. So there was no CFO, but at the moment there is no head of finance either, to my knowledge.
That's it.
So that's the tricky part. And I think if I was, going to ask Simon a question, it would be, well, with this playing budget probably being a movable feast at the moment, with various things going on, and there's rumours of Folston Park being overspent, and we've got a transfer budget that's up and down. If you haven't got a head of finance reporting your numbers accurately and giving you a forecast that says if we spend 1.2 million tonight on Tolaj, for example, and that's his release clause, is that in the budget? If it isn't, how does that amortize over 3 years? So if that's a 3-window payment, is that 400 grand times 3? Is it half up front and then the other half over 2 seasons, whatever the case may be? You need that head of finance there to sit down and show the forecasting cash measurement to say, yes, we can afford it. No, we can't. Oh, that's going to make things tight. Where's the opportunity cost? If we're not going to spend it here, we can't spend it there. All that good stuff. So without having a head of finance in the middle of a transfer window, I imagine for the club and for Andy Parkinson in particular, that's a really tough gig, because someone's going to have to hold the pen on that forecast structure. Yeah. And at the moment, there isn't anyone there.
No. And I think Gavin just Argyle on tour, who's Spencer, the young lad that stood up and asked his 2 questions at the forum. He's saying no hate on Hallett, and he alluded to that earlier. But some stats here: Whitaker 7 million, Cooper 2, Maxi 2, Hardy 800, Grimshaw 600, Gibson 1.8, Scar 350. Now, actually, on all of these, we don't know exactly what we got for these players. And I go back to Hallett's interview on Pilgrim's podcast, where he says, you think that you're going to get this for a player, or even then Miron, he was talking about that as well. And sometimes you just don't. And when a player or a coach wants to go, you're in that difficult position then where you have to, at some stage, just either cut your losses or agree a fee that you don't want to agree. And as just Jan has said as well, you've got Argyle doesn't know how to sell at the prime. We love to sell for peanuts. we know that we're that sort of club that people can leverage a bit of taking advantage of because of the situation with us. And also, as Gavin touched upon there, some of these players, we don't get all the money, Spencer, in one hit. And for anybody else that wonders that, it's generally fed out. I mean, clubs are in such debt distress everywhere that they can't just go out and give $1 million.
The perfect example there is the 600,000 that we got for Grimshaw. We didn't actually even finish paying Grimshaw off before we sold him.
Yeah, there you go then.
Right. So if you look at multiple transfer window, like the money we got for Gibson, it's over 3 transfer windows. It's like 150, 200 grand per window. So when you make a transfer and they sign on the line, it's not like putting your shopping on the conveyor belt at Sainsbury's. You don't have to make the payment there and then. There's a deferred consideration in most transfers now, because people are wanting to make their pound stretch further, especially in the Premier League, where the financial fair play and the Championship financial fair play comes in. So quite often you'll buy a player, but you won't spend all the money on that player, which means the receiving club doesn't have 6 million today for Whittaker. It has probably 2 million today. It's probably had £1 million for Cooper and then another $1 million this year. So you have to sort of cash flow that money coming in as per the contract. And then the worst case scenario, of course, is people like Hull who promised the money, and then at the time of needing to pay the money, they haven't got the money, and then they're put into transfer embargoes because they haven't paid their deferred consideration on previous transfers. And I know they owe millions of pounds to Premier League players for paying and promising money in the past that they've not received. So it is a bit of a mess. It isn't straightforward as you make the payment on the day and the money's transferred and then they've got it and you've got the cash and all that type of jazz. So that also doesn't help with putting budgets together, which is why I'm saying there's probably a very complex spreadsheet somewhere that the head of finance would run. They'd be the pen holder on that would say, if we have got Tolaj at 1.2 million, we're probably being asked for 600-700k today. Have we got 6 or 700k today to put in, and then the rest over the next 2 seasons? But he'd put that in the model, and then it would come out the other side, and it would basically take it from all of those transfers on a cash basis and tell you how much you've got left in the bottom based on a forecasted revenue per game in terms of gate receipts, hospitality, sponsorship, So that's how it all works.
Yeah, and also it's not to say, folks, that you then can use that expected income from that player transfer over that period to leverage against deals you do yourself, because you're expecting that money to come in and you can show evidence of that of getting a loan. And also the Grimshaw point that Steve just made, Gribson deal, from what he's heard, is 300k over 5 years, which is madness when you think 300k over 5 years. But also it was a keeper that just wasn't settled in the club, wanted to go. A club came in for him, and this is where, sort of going back to just Jana's point on Peanuts, I think it was you. It's like, well, that's the deal you're being handed. If there's no other deal, you've either got to take it or not, and then you're left with a keeper that doesn't want to be here. And that was, what Simon was alluding to. And this is where I've said it many times, and I don't want it to sound like a broken record, but running a club is not as easy as everybody thinks, or any business is always challenging. So there are these things where you just have to sort of say, right, okay, if that is what's happening, and that Grimshaw one, it's nothing. I mean, 300k over 5 years is ridiculous.
Gibson, not Grimshaw. But I think Voodoo's point is bang on. It's the comms around it. Now, I don't know how much you're allowed to disclose, because normally most transfers are undisclosed fee. So therefore, if you're undisclosed fee, it's certainly the term of the transfer won't be plastered up with, here's Ross, we signed him from Galatasaray for £1 million, just to use a random example, and we're paying 100,000 on day one, and we're going to, because you're not going to put that type of business out to the fan base or anywhere else, and it's not on the registered account either, which is another, I suppose, bit of a challenge. So go on.
No, go on, finish off.
So the income is total, but how you receive the income, they're not reporting that anywhere. For right or wrong reasons. I think it's audited. The auditors will know. The finance team will know. But anyone else apart from that. If you ask Tom Cleverley now, we sold Morgan Whittaker for 6 million, didn't we? Yeah. How much of that was coming in? He's going, oh, no, it's not my problem. I'll coach the side. So I think even people at the nucleus, at the nub of the club, they're not going to know, and they're not going to want to know. It's not their issue.
No, what I was just going to add, Gavin, is the comms thing is a good point. There's only so much you can say. I'm sure the club and sat behind the desk, you're like, oh, if I could only tell you X, Y, and Z, while you're hurling abuse at me, good, bad, or indifferent. It's like, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Also, just a point to note, Ninja Matt just said exactly that, Gav. There will be a massive spreadsheet that will work the majority out. It does need someone to run it who understands it and can make the changes required. And as we've alluded to, we don't have currently a head of finance, obviously, since David Ray left to become CEO of Bolton. Just on that point, and to segue with Ninja Matt being reading out his comment there, a couple of people have said, oh, well, let's see what the accounts come out. So in September. So the annual accounts that will come out, it's normally a few months after they've been filed, but expected in September. I've spoken to Ninja Matt, who is a chartered accountant. And so Matt will come on and we will digest, probably on a live lounge, because that's where we would do it normally, typically. And we'll go through that to give people a bit of an understanding of what that what that gives us, any insights, to that. So just as a point to note, in the next few weeks when that comes out. Right, Gavin, back to you.
Yeah. Also, next week, just to caveat that, I've done like a forecasted balance sheet. Matt, that was fun, if you're still listening, for a non-accountant. God, that took me ages. You've probably done it in half a minute. But next week, I'll go through a forecasted balance sheet to the end of 26. A lot of guesswork in there, but just showing how the cash moves and the assets move around the balance sheet and what it would look like potentially at the end of 2026. So I think that's quite interesting too. And there's a lot of assumptions based on money coming in, money coming out, loans, blah, blah, blah. But we'll go through that in a bit more detail. So just a second example on this, recruitment and team selection. Okay. Now, Simon's a non-exec chairman, so he will definitely be informed when he wants to be informed on who we've signed and who we're picking on Saturday. I'm sure he gets an advanced team sheet. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he finds out by doing his QR code, or maybe he finds out via Twitter at 2:00. Who knows? Board of directors will be exactly the same. They're not really going to be getting into team affairs. Accountable and responsible for these will be the manager or head coach. And some of the exec team, i.e. David Fox at the minute, will be responsible and accountable to a certain degree of like playing style, and so will Tom Randall, playing style, type of player we brought in, profile of player, and that type of stuff. So between those two exec, if you like, players, or the three, they're all on the same level, really. Head of football operations, because there isn't a director of football, head of football operations, head of recruitment, and head coach. They'll all be heads of department. They'll all be responsible and accountable in various degrees for team selection and recruitment. Whereas the board will have no idea. And the reason why we presented this in a pyramid is to show how high Simon is in terms of altitude of these decisions, because they're back down the bottom somewhere. And he will probably see it like ants from a skyscraper in New York, rather than being down around the players and seeing it firsthand. So when we're talking about recruitment, why isn't Simon Hallett signed this guy? He won't know him until they sign him. He ain't going to know him from Adam. He probably doesn't even know who Tolaj is, and we're all getting excited because we've seen his numbers. He certainly wouldn't have known who Ross was until he got an email yesterday saying he's signed and we're announcing him tomorrow. This is his profile. So that's how distant a non-executive chairman and a board of directors will be on recruitment. They are not making the final decisions. The only decision they probably will have a hand in is the recruitment of the head coach.
Yeah, the thing I'll just add to that, Gavin, to a degree, only from sort of the experience that I've seen over the last 20 years at the Rangers, there's, Chris, the owner, has taken more of a back step over the last few years, and rightly so. He's, sorry, Chris, but he's 72, 73 now. And there's a point at which you have to let your board run the business, which is, the day-to-day stuff, as Gavin has alluded to. But there's one thing that I sort of feel Simon will be to a degree, if not a lot at the moment, and certainly Chris is. And when things aren't going well, it's certainly back in there and going through stuff, getting involved in things. So there's elements with day-to-day stuff and the odd signing here and there where he probably isn't aware of until last minute. But there's, I think, with the situation the club is in and the sort of engagement out there negatively at the moment, he's probably been a bit more on the phone than he would do normally, because yes, it's his money.
Yeah,
It's
you're right.
Yeah, it's his club, and for those, and I get it, we do get it. Those that say get out of my club, I mean, as some have found out, it's clearly his club because he's sort of stopped you from going to games now. But it's the point being is that he absolutely wants to do what's right, and just to add, he has said, in that forum recently, he is now tapped out. So if he goes, it's not easy finding a replacement. There could be one there, absolutely. There might be, but equally there might not be. And as soon as that resource goes, and he just decides to say, you know what, I don't need this anymore. He's 70 odd years old as well, I believe, isn't he, Gavin? Then it's just like, well, that's it, I'm done. Andy, just to come in before we go to this slide, any thoughts, questions you've got yourself?
No, I was going to observance really that if you've got 4,000 or 5,000 people saying we want Hallett out and where's the money gone, you could well turn around and say, right, okay, I've had enough of this. There's nothing to do. It's not my fault. The money is gone into the right places, as Gav explained earlier on. I'll just walk. I'll just go and sell the club, and whoever picks it up, and he could sell it to a chance area or someone like that. Who's going to drag the club even further into debt down the leagues. So I don't believe in all the Hallett out nonsense. There's times I get frustrated with it. Of course I do, as a fan. But I see where we've come from and where Hallett is.
On the racing model, he is accountable, right? That's it. Yeah. He's just accountable. Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, the shit, as they say, metaphorically rolls downhill. He'll be on the phone to Mr. P. Yeah. Mr. P will get a kick up his backside, and he'll go and speak to the relevant head of the department and say, we've lost for what's going on about it, or our sponsorship revenue's down, what we're doing about it, or our hospitality numbers are down, what we're doing about it. That's the way the business works. But he will see something and he'll ask to fix it. Or he might say, how do we get an extra £250,000 of sponsorship this year? Can you get the board, or can you get the management team to come up with some solutions? That's the way the business works. It starts at the top with an idea or with a challenge. It comes down, it gets answered, then it gets back up to the board and the chairman. That's how we come
around.
Exactly. And if Hallett walks away from that, we've got nothing there.
Because he's got 20 odd million quid invested in it, and he needs to be able to realise that capital back. So he won't, but I don't blame him for being a bit disenfranchised if he does get the level of challenge that he's getting for stuff that, quite frankly, he's accountable for, but he's certainly not responsible for.
No, and also, on that further, I think it's, the sort of break-even point and stuff like this. It's, it's too easy when you don't have that cash. He's got more money, but there's a point at which you do say, Jane has told him you're not putting any more in. And she's as passionate. As she's as passionate as Simon is. And I think, I always take it back to, if it was your money, and we would all love to be in that position, to be able to be an owner of the club that you love and support. But your finances will only take you so far. And the championship was a bit too soon, but we got in there, they dealt with it, and obviously it ended up, we come straight back out quicker than anybody wanted. But if we're feeling sort of sick and frustrated and depressed about the situation, if you're Hallett, he's feeling it, if not more so. But I think the only
we've seen it down the years, Mike, haven't we? With Stapleton. Stapleton got as far as he went with his money, and he couldn't put any more in. And this is the same now.
Yeah, and he had a lot less money than Hallett, the board, not just Stapleton individually. It's all that. And I think,
we could talk this to death, but at the end of the day, we are where we are. It is what it is, and I just think the point that I tried to make with the previous sort of set of examples is Simon's not sitting there going, "Sorry, what's your name, young man? Ross. What's your stats? Oh, how much do you want? Oh, I don't think those days are gone." So, I noticed a video earlier said about Darren McAnthony and the Peterborough days. I remember Barry Fry and sitting there bartering with a player and his agent. Those days are gone. There are technical departments now that do all that type of stuff. So that's where it is. I just think that people need to realise that he hasn't got his hand on the tiller or in the till, as some people have put either, to use a pun. they've got a set of professionals that are doing this. They're the experts. They live and die by their decisions, and we need to back those decisions until they're unbackable. And at the moment, I don't think there's any problem in backing any of the decisions. You know, we've looked like we've got a potential new striker coming in now from the comments, and we've got just established we've signed 2 good centre backs to complement a good side. So there we go.
I just think we've sort of probably done. We'll skip over these because I'm conscious of time.
So hopefully people got a flavour of
Yes.
that about how it works. If they don't, drop me a PM and I'll send you a little dossier on it and you can get it. But if you do, then you really have got insomnia problems and you might want to get sleep at night. So there we are.
Yeah, and just also, and thank you, Gavin, for putting it together as well. And I think just to, we're not trying to sort of act a happy clappy. We're not one of those equally that hose abuse or we just we want the situation resolved like anybody. The buck that will stop eventually though, and I mean this, we're not trying to sort of pick on that person, but the buck stops at the CEO's door as well. And I think if there's any issues as we go in and the weeks go by at the end of the transfer window, then yes, potentially Andy Parkinson his position becomes a bit more questionable and untenable. But let's just see, because there might be some surprises. There might be some comms that come out as that window closes that just shed a bit more light. It's very easy to judge sat from the outside in. So yeah, thanks again, Gavin, for that. Just looking at some of the comments. Phil Tor, evening forwards, Amici, new striker, another problem, still a weak bench. Finn Hatch, Izaka, Roberts, the game time out on loan, left with weak bench, still required 2 midfield and 2 forwards. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why we can't put these players out on loan yet, because until we get through the window and understand what permanent deals or more loans we get, there's still 4 slots, I think, now with Mitchell being the loan. Am I right in thinking that? Yeah. So yeah, we definitely are not finished, and as Tom alluded to himself. Spencer's going with a 2-1 win to Blackpool as well. Just the Jana 1-3 Blackpool. Blackpool won't travel all the way down here without 3 points. Well, so that leads us in nicely to the preview. So thanks everybody who's still with us, just over 1,500 in now. So thank you for giving us your time to listen to this tonight. So news updates from the press conference. Striker search update, as Voodoo said and pointed out earlier. Cleverley said he's not going to mention striker updates anymore, and then does one tonight when there still isn't a signature penned. So is he really confident then? And obviously the Port Vale striker has come up. I've pulled up his FOTMob and I'll share that in a second. So yeah, we are closer than the last time I spoke to you. It's progressing nicely. We will get it. Will we get it done by the weekend? Not sure. He said, but it's progressing well. Obviously, team news and injuries. Alluded to this at the news update at the start. Tolaj, thank you, Argyle tweets. No new injuries. Edwards back into the squad. Waidu back from suspension. Hazard, McKenzie, Patterson, Izaka all very close. And I know a few have said about Izaka. It'd be good to Hazard. It'll be good to see him back in. This will provide competition for places. A headache that every coach wants. On the Blackpool challenge, they will be feeling the pressure like us. Both teams not had the start they would like, although I think Blackpool are in the playoffs, aren't they, at home? Yeah. So which, with the support of the Green Army, should give us the advantage. Recent fan criticism was asked, and he said, the fans are supportive but demanding. I think that's a brilliant way to put it. A nice balance. I've never seen it get personal, and they have a right to be frustrated. We need to give them something to get us going. And that, just a point. It'd be great to get the win, but the point on Saturday would be a start. Tegan Finn, seen him as an important part of the squad, not an academy player. Key part. Same with Hatch. He's been in or travelled with every squad. And obviously, Gavin, you said and others that he didn't have a great game on Tuesday. There's comments about getting his professional contract done and sorted out.
Well, they've offered something to him, but the lad's going to try and, I think, see what else is around. But you can only keep offering him where it is. I think his relationship will build with TC, and TC is probably the best coach around to developing young players, looking at what he produced at Watford last year. So I think it will get done eventually, but I think he's going to play a bit hard to get, and he's a good footballer, so why wouldn't he?
No, exactly. Let me go to the next deck. So obviously on Saturday at Home Park, will be on Sky Sports Plus or Argyle TV overseas. I tell you what, that for all the money that I pay for the Sky subscription, and when away last week, this past week, they even with these VPNs, they still find you out. You've got to either pay to have your own VPN IP address, or they still block the most common ones used by VPN. I'm like, hang on, Sky, I'm giving you a lot of money each month here. If I go abroad, I should be able to watch it on my own personal device. But that was a bit frustrating. But like I said, I'm glad in the end that I wasn't able to watch it on Tuesday night. Match officials, we've got David Rock, who's the referee, assisted by Declan O'Shea and Darren Wilding. And the fourth official is Adrian Quelch. Moving to the next deck. So your predicted lineup and formation, Gavin, take us through that.
So gone 4-2-3-1. That seems to be now where we're going to be. Interestingly enough, Blackpool play 4-1-4-1. So that'll be quite interesting. It looks like Taylor up top. So I've gone Ashby Delazushi in goal. I thought he was much improved on Tuesday night. Actually, I thought he had a pretty good game. He's getting more and more confident. It reminded me a little bit of Hazard when Jesus Christ, I'm tired. What's his name was out when Cooper was out. Sorry, last time, and he grew in confidence. Going out, getting balls out of his goal, using his box more. So I thought he actually played a pretty good game. Benarous at left back, Galloway and Mitchell in the centre, and Cornell Soup on the right. I think that's really worth persisting with. I thought they were solid, as I mentioned earlier. I've gone for Ibrahim and Boateng in the midfield. I think Ibrahim's probably learnt his lesson now, and I think Tom's clipped his wings accordingly to say stop being such a prat and being in the book. I don't know if he was in the book don't think he was in the book on Tuesday night in his 30 minutes, but anyway, that's fine. Caleb Watson in the 10, Mumba and Amici on both flanks, and then I've gone Pepper up the middle because I think Asani will be a better instrument against tired centre halves than Pepper was. So early in the game, I'd like to see our 9 hold the ball up and bring Watson and Mumba and Amici on past him, and Abraham, who gets forward too. Boateng seems to be a bit more deeper. But later on, a bit like Hardy used to, running off the shoulder in the channels, I'd love to see Asani do, because I think he'll get much better use of that. So that's the side I've put in.
Thank you. Just before I give some thoughts on it and then come to Andy, Spencer just said, how long is the pod going on for? By the way, I need to go to bed soon. I'm shattered. Excuse me. I flew out from Lanzarote at 7 o'clock yesterday and drove back from Bristol and got in at 2:30 and was up at 8. So don't you give me any of that, Spencer. But yeah, not with something.
I was up at 4:15. Move on.
Yeah, exactly. So the question I have, Gavin, and not being a tactical person generally, but Oseni obviously started, is that correct, on Tuesday? It was a strong lineup, wasn't it? And obviously he scored a few goals, so his confidence high. Clearly there wasn't the right balls to him on Tuesday night, so your reason for not having him in the squad?
I think you're basically using Pepper as a blunt instrument to tire out. He's such a physical character, like even with Sonny Bradley, he was so physical and holding him up, and that tires centre halves out, right? That with a lot of running up and down and side to side. So for me, I would bring Pepper on to start to really tire those centre halves out, and then you've got the pace of and the cool finishing, which I think we showed last week, of Aseni to get in behind and run those channels. So I think that if it was me in the coaching seat, that's the way I'd play it. They tried it the other way last week, and actually against a tiring centre half of Bradley's ilk, who was not the quickest anyway, we tried to get in behind. Peppel's not quick. He's a big animal, and he's a lump, and he actually holds the ball really well, and he finds passes really well, but he's not quick over 20 yards, and that's where we missed him. So that's the way around I would do it. That's just
Andy, what changes would you make? I mean, like Mumba hasn't been his best, has he, at the start of this season either?
Yeah, I don't want to make him a scapegoat again, because I know I did a lot of that last season. I was making him sort of a scapegoat for mistakes made. But the only change I'd make would probably be Ibrahim out the side and having Brendan Murray doing there instead.
Yeah, back from suspension.
back from suspension. Mumba, if Mumba's playing up where he is, where Gav's put him, then yes, that's fine. But anyone near the back four,
he's not even been considered as a left back or a right back this year. So
that's right. Yeah. So I mean, I'll keep the front as it is. I agree with what you're saying about Peppel. He's a big beast of a target man. He'll probably win a lot more in the air, but he hasn't got that mobility that Aseni's got. So Aseni will be good coming on with tired legs in the last sort of 20, 30, 20,
Did
minutes,
I was trying to just quickly pull it up, but ran out of time. But did Benarous start on Tuesday, or did he come on as a...
No, he started left back.
So I know we spoke about, and you guys said how well he played. Just wasn't 100% sure off the top of my head if he started, but he's a player that I'm looking forward to again watching, as well as obviously Mitchell. Assuming he will be 100% fit to start that game, and hopefully then if we can just get a rhythm going, and just sort of, I don't want them to start nervy. I don't want them to sort of be edgy. You said that the first 20 minutes, Argyle, played actually very well. Just go at them and just absolutely take it to them. I want to see us really start.
We've started really well for part of every game. Caleb Watts against Rotherham, if he'd scored, I think that would have been a very different game. We had a couple of chances away at Bolton, we didn't take them. We had a couple of chances last week on Saturday, we didn't take them. We had a couple of chances on Tuesday night, we didn't take them. So I think we started rightly, then we've stopped. But then the first time they've got in our area, they've scored in nearly every single game. So apart from Tuesday night where they went in at halftime 0-0, and actually, I thought Caleb Watts' interview earlier on Argyle TV was great, saying we've set a foundation now. It's really good. And then we've come out second half and still lost the bloody game. So it is what it is. But that for me, I think will be the format, the lineup. And then of course, you've got some quite good strength off the bench then as well. We're doing midfield. You've still got Paulson on the bench as a centre half. You've got Edwards on the bench. You've got Serenola on the bench. You'll have Sani on the bench, and you'll have Hatch or Finn on the bench. So it's a much stronger squad. I get some of the points earlier saying that we still got a weak bench, but you bring some of the players back now on top of what we've got, and potentially one or two more in, and we've got quite a rich squad. And there's going to be some senior players, as Tom said earlier, that won't make the 18, and they'll be sat on a tracksuit up in the stands watching it.
Yeah. No. Well, look. Let's.
Sorry, Mike. Just to in there. One thing I really want to happen is to get sort of Mumba and Benarous getting an understanding together. Learning to play alongside each other. So I think Benarous is great going forward, but I think Mumba running up with him and sort of being there for him to receive the ball and pass the ball on is going to be equally.
So just on Saturday, was Benarous still able? Because obviously against QPR, and for whatever, regardless of the type of game it was, obviously what's going on here? As my slide deck, I think I'm having even the slide deck's given up. The actual, let me go to it, whatever page it was on now. Get back to it. There we go. He loved getting really up the pitch and putting some fantastic balls in. So was he able to do that?
Yeah, he's done on both games.
Good.
His ball control ability, his game awareness, so he seems to track back and make vital sliding tackles really well, like any good fullback would. I personally think he's wasted there, and don't know who just said it, but I would have Benarous in the 10. As Stevie said. I agree. In the future, if you've got another centre half come in and you can play Galloway at left back, or you've got Mackenzie, obviously, who is a natural left back coming back at the end of the month, beginning of September, then I would be looking to put Benarous in that 10 channel and get him to fight it out with Caleb Watts, because I think they're both very different footballers, but they're both very intelligent footballers that are great on the ball.
Yeah, I'm just going to, what I'll do is we'll do this slide quickly, and then I'll screen share the Laurent Tolage, if I got that right, either way, just to show you his FOTMob stats, as that's been coming up tonight quite a bit. Tactical match preview, formation and lineup. Gavin's really touched upon that already, with Blackpool's approach as well. Standout performances, Malachi Boateng has been the most consistent performer this season so far. Amiechi has been standout in moments. I do worry whether or not, and I know, Andy, you mentioned this in the WhatsApp group, but some of the players just trying to do too much themselves, or think of themselves. And sometimes I think Amiechi, a bit like Whittaker at times, just wanted to try and recover the situation and be the hero when actually you just need to think.
The problem is though, Mike, is that because those players haven't really gelled yet, they've only played a handful of games together. They're running into pockets beyond to give him space, and our fanboy Aaron Cusack again now. As I often do, he showed a perfect example on one of his social clips tonight, which I thought was fantastic. Which is, Bally doesn't run on. Amichi's sort of there. If Bally runs on, he takes the defender with him, because they're going to have to track that run, which opens up a big space in the box for him to shoot. But didn't do it. Stood and waited, and that was Bally when Bally got his shot away, which was deflected in the second half. If they're on the same wavelength there, and Bally makes the run, and then the defender goes with him, he's then got 3-4 yards to tee his shot up, and we know what he can do in his left peg. So that for me is a big difference. And like what we saw with a little bit of Rooney ball last year, these guys have got to start to find their feet, haven't they? And they've got to start to make those connections. It's all well and doing it in training, but the heat of the battle in the game is where the magic happens. So I think as things progress and as they do these analytics about game situations, it will become muscle memory, and then we'll start seeing a lot more fluidity at the top of the pitch.
Yeah, I just think they were trying too hard on Tuesday night, weren't they? They're just it's almost like desperation. Get the ball forward, get the ball forward.
Yeah,
he was on the wrong time. Anyway, we've covered that. Laurent Tolage.
Yeah, so this is the Port Vale player. Supposedly, I think I've seen the comments around 1.2 million is the activation clause, which Argyle have met. So let's have a look. So 179 centimeters, just shy under 6 foot, is that, isn't it? So he's got. Where do we go? Well, his quadrant, if you look at his player traits here, look pretty good. Touches 90%, 86% chances created, 78 shot attempts, 55 aerial duels won. Obviously, he's not going to be the best at that with his height. 72% on goals and 61% on defensive contributions as well. So not a bad looking quadrant, that I suppose, is it, Gav?
No, I'm just working at his goal tally. So he scored 41 goals in 3 seasons for Aldershot Port Vale.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
which is a great return, quite frankly. And his FOTMOB rating for the last 3 seasons has been 7.2, 7.3, 7.3. I'd like a striker on our side that had that consistency, because I don't think any of our strikers, including the all-hailed Ryan Hardy, had that type of stats either. He can clearly score a goal, and he's going to have a step up into League One. Port Vale in our league? No, they went down, didn't they? They're in League Two. So Port Vale in League Two. But I think this is a good bit of ambition. Is it going to get the city excited? Who knows? But if he is clearly a finished article, and he's how old is he? 20 something?
Oh, he's 23.
Perfect age. To use a soccer AM, great age. So I think the characteristics there look great. He will be probably the front runner, and if he can score anywhere near those returns that he's got for Port Vale, then was it 19 last year? Then I'd be very happy with that, quite frankly.
Well, look, let's. I just thought I'd quickly share that up. I won't mess around with that too much, but I think
you might be in for Saturday. You never know.
Well, yeah. Just a Jana highlighting the point. Too many short kings. But yeah, it's not ideal. We do need a tall person up front for those. Well, but then with Mitchell and when Ross is fully fit to start.
Apple's 6'2". He's a lump.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Well, yeah, it's another good point.
You just need, like we had when we went up last time, we had Cosgrove, who was 6'4". We had Ennis, who was about 4'3" on tippy toes, but he was strong as an ox. We had Ben Wayne, who's about 5'10", and we had Ryan Hardy, who was about 6'2", but ran in behind, quite lightweight, quite whippy. So you need that variety, I think. And quite frankly, I think he would be a one that would excite. Port Vale in League One. Thank you, Steve.
Sorry.
Yeah. So he's had a great return last year then.
And
thanks, Voodoo.
And what do you call it? They've supposedly announced, I'm just trying to go to their website. They've announced that he is now joining us, but I can't.
Who have?
Sure, is that what Stephen Cooper? Port Vale in no, where was it to? I swear, on Port Vale site, gone to Plymouth, Stephen Cooper, but I can't.
Steve, can you
Is it a fans forum?
Possibly,
Maybe?
yeah, because I can't see that looking at the website.
It's not on the official site.
Let me stop sharing that. Well, look, let's hope then we get that for the weekend.
Mike, as well. You've turned your camera off.
Oh, have I? Sorry. It's because I was trying to do stuff on the website, and it was because I wasn't on the right window. So I'm glad I didn't just kill the stream. So that's always.
I think a lot of people that would be disappointed you didn't do that, but there we go.
No, that is true. That is true. We'll move on from that. Key player focuses. Obviously, Dale Taylor from Blackpool was linked to us. As we all know, so it'll be interesting if he wants to try and get in there and show us what we've missed out on.
Mustard, though, are they? 25 goals and 121 senior appearances is not brilliant.
No, but we would have probably still been happy to have him. So
Jim Tollage with his record than that. Let's be candid.
Well,
especially now I know Port Vale plays for League One.
Yeah,
League One. Oh, isn't that where what's his name? The Rooney's assistant coach went. Shuttleworth. Shuttlecock. I think he's gone to Port Vale, isn't he?
I don't know, but your point as well, though, Gav. We'll soon find out on Saturday how good Dale Taylor is, because Rumen Burrell for QPR didn't even think about him in the game, on Tuesday night. So that maybe we got away a little bit with that one, but yeah, we definitely need to get these forwards in. I put the score prediction in of 1-0. I never bet against us in any form. I can't do it, but I don't expect, based on recent performances, I'd love us to go 2-3-0 or whatever, but I just can't see it at the moment. I think just getting...
You know what this game reminds me of? Sunderland last year, when we've had absolute stinkers in the Rooney. I remember bumping into Simon Hall actually outside the gate, and I said, I've got a positive feeling about today, Simon. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah, genuinely, I do. I thought we played some immense football that day, and we played Sunderland Park. At the time, they were top of the league, and then we went on to beat West Brom, didn't we? And they were top of the league at the time too. So maybe this is it. Maybe match day 4 is the new catalyst, and we'll go and put these guys to the sword Saturday. Who knows? God,
let's hope so. Andy, what are you thinking scoreline?
You put me on the spot. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Argyle. Yeah. There you go. I think we're due a win. I think we're going to get the first goal early, and then the crowd are going to get on side, and then we're just going to go and breeze through. I think also Blackpool concede quite a lot of goals. They've got no Ellis.
What is interesting is they've conceded a shit ton of goals through set pieces.
Yeah, exactly. So you get a few set pieces or long throws from Zooks in the box. Then
with
who knows? I'm going to go 2-0
up front. 2-0. Well, with Pepper and Mitchell now, who knows? Shuttleworth went to Wickham as coach. Port Vale was Darren Moore. Just to bring this one up, I'm guessing you did it on Saturday's live or last Thursdays.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So the Tamlet and Foley under 15s, which we are kit sponsors. I actually didn't. I left it in the deck, but I didn't look at it before the live. But yeah, I just suddenly realised the photo with the full kit. So Carl didn't share that in the group at the time. So that's my first time of seeing that. So that looks absolutely brilliant. Their season kicks off on the 6th of September, and we will get Carl to give us updates on how they do. So excited for that, and putting it back in the community as well, which is great. Right, you will be pleased to know we are. Well, hopefully, or not, that we are at the end now. So, good effort tonight, everybody, for sticking with us. I can see there's a lot in just over 1,600, and there's a lot from our Block 9 Podcast X channel versus how many followers we've got. So please give us a follow on there. And obviously, those that are watching on YouTube as well, the numbers on that look great. So everybody, just give us a like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz where you can, because it all helps. So that would be appreciated. Obviously, we got Blackpool post-match straight after the game on Saturday. I know it was a tough one for the guys. after Lincoln, and with the defeats running as they are, it's really difficult to get motivated in any way, shape, or form. But fingers crossed for that one when we come to you on Saturday night. Obviously, like I just said, spread the word as well. So tell everybody about the show. That would be appreciated. And also for those that care, the Tales from the Block with me being away, equally as someone nudged me earlier on today, the show didn't go out to the podcast channels from Saturday night. You think with the technology now, I can just take my iPad with me, and once the guys are finished, I can do all the stuff and upload it as I do straight after normally. And that was not easy, believe it or not. So, it didn't go out properly, which someone nudged me on. Forget the name, apologies. But yes, that is out there now. And this one will follow probably in the morning now because I am equally shattered. But yes, the Tales from the Block, I will look to pick up the last 2 weeks on Sunday as depressing, hopefully with a positive, though, twist. I can bring that to everybody. But other than that, Gavin, any final words from you?
No, let's just get behind the team on Saturday.
Yeah, no tennis balls, as I've seen.
I don't enjoy watching the Boo Brigade from the Upper Mayflower. It is a very tedious, because obviously, the prawn sandwich brigade. I can't remember someone who said it in the week, but the happy clappers do me. But what do me even worse are the prawn sandwich brigade that pay for their season tickets in hospitality. That's me. Thank you very much. So
I don't think I've seen prawn sandwiches on the menu when I've been there.
No, there isn't any prawn sandwiches. I think that's a myth. Or you'll be there on Saturday, actually, you'll know. I'll get behind the team, for God's sake. We need to create a fortress again. If you want to have a pop at the board, do it after the final whistle. Quite frankly, that's the only thing I would say. If that floats your boat, do it. It's a game of opinions. It's a country of free speech. Do what you have to, but do it after 90 minutes. Don't do it during the game, because I think probably half of that blunt boot it up the pitch and not make a mistake on Saturday was because we started "Where's the money gone?" and booing the board and all that nonsense. And I think that can't help a player. So let's get behind him to the 90th, whatever it is, minute. And then if you want to have a pop afterwards, have a pop afterwards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Andy will echo that, I'm sure. And Tom Cleverley mentioned it, didn't he, on Tuesday night about, he's gone through that experience and he needs to sort of do his best to help nurture those players, because they are young. They won't have witnessed something like this before. So it's all about sort of and I know it's cliche and some people absolutely hate it, but do you really want to turn up on Saturday and just throw abuse or how your voice your frustrations throughout the whole game? It's just like Gavin said, if you're going to do it, yes, do it at the end. Free speech, not sure about that. I know, but there is free speech, but you can do it your way. But even though it's tough, and I really hope we can just get that goal that just inspires everybody on. That win has got to come at some stage. So let's hope it's Saturday, Andy.
Yeah, I just hope what Gav said tonight about the structure of the club from top to bottom. It's important that fans get to realise that Simon Haddad doesn't make decisions on transfers and stuff, so he has a budget for that already in place, which is being used, isn't it? Hopefully. If fans want to, as Gav said, if fans want to air their sort of frustration, do it at the end of the game. I was frustrated on Tuesday night, and I ranted off a little bit, and that's just my frustration. Seeing my team going through something, not very good at the minute, and I want my team to win. Everyone wants their team to win. So call of action to the Green Army: just get behind the boys on Saturday. We've got to be 12th man. We've got to G the boys on and get them to, suck that ball over the line, if you like, and get them going. That's our role.
Yeah, look, it's
one thing. Sorry, Mike. Before we go,
go on, mate.
It's worth mentioning. I know it's been probably in the comments, but Lulu Jarvis of the women's team, the game's been abandoned because of her serious leg injury, which doesn't sound good. So I think we need to wish her all the best and a speedy recovery.
Yeah, thanks,
the girls that are around her have not been too traumatized. Don't know what the injury is, but if you're abandoning a game because of a leg injury, then that normally means it's not clever. So hopefully she gets a quick and swift recovery.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching in tonight, and those that listen post on the podcast channels. It will be up shortly in the morning, hopefully, he says. So, look, yeah, it's good to be back. Again, thank you, Gavin, for taking over the hosting duties. And, yeah, looking forward to Saturday. Let's see what happens, good, bad, or ugly. Other than that, have a great evening and rest of your week, and we'll see you then.